want to take a moment here and kind of recap what we've done and where we're going from here. I want you guys to kind of have the understanding of how this all builds on top of what we've done so far. So do me a favor and flip over to page 3, which is the agenda in your workbook. And so modules 1 and 2 are kind of the big picture. We looked at the blueprint from a big picture standpoint. And then module 3 was all about getting crystal clear on who your ideal client is, right? Your various avatars, your various ideal client profiles. Obviously, you made some phone calls. In a minute, I'm going to give us an opportunity to kind of hear how the calls went. Hopefully they went well. I'm interested in hearing kind of what you pulled out of it. But then, now that we have a clear picture of who we're serving and who we're targeting, Module 4 is going to be all about how do you develop a message that is irresistibly attractive to each of those unique target client avatars. And that's the really cool part about this is most people skip the step of really getting crystal clear on the different personas that you serve, and so you never have the opportunity to develop that micro-targeted messaging, which is what we're going to do in Module 4. Module 5 then is taking that messaging and actually starting to build out our lead magnets. So conceptualizing them, starting to create an outline, working on headlines, kind of creating an outline for what those lead magnets are going to look like. Most likely, that will be, we may get into it this afternoon, we may start there tomorrow morning, but we are actually going to do the work of planning out at least 3 lead magnets and outlining them, beginning to create kind of bullet points and an outline that either you can flesh out yourself or that you can hand to a copywriter to take it home for you. By the way, the reason I say we're going to do 3 lead magnets and not just 1 is because we don't know, despite our best guesses, despite our thought process, we don't know for sure what's going to work and what's not going to work. I told you earlier how for years, one of the ugliest landing pages that I ever created worked really well for like a decade. And so the lesson there is we just don't know what's going to work. And so the last thing I want you guys to do is run out of here with 1 campaign that you're going to launch. Because listen, it might work, it might not. You create 3, there's a good chance 1 or 2 of the 3 is going to work. So just understand, like that is the philosophy here. It's not about just creating your very best lead magnet, your very best landing page. We're doing these things, we're creating multiples because we need to test different messages and different offerings to find out what's really going to work and what's not going to work. Module 6 then this is all just building right on top of the previous module. So we will have outlined landing pages, we will have outlined lead magnets, and then we will outline landing pages corresponding to each one of those lead magnets. So we're getting super tactical here, creating the headlines, creating the benefit statements. We're going to walk through all of that. Again, want you to have an outline that you can either flesh out on your own or literally hand to a copywriter, and they will be able to easily take it all the way home. Then, Module 7, your ad strategy. So how do we get people to the landing pages? What are the ads going to look like? What's the copy going to be? So we're going to walk through that process. That's Module 7. Module 8, then, once we generated a lead, how do we convert them, right? How do we get them to actually schedule an appointment and then show up? Well, how do we get them to actually schedule an appointment? Because then Module 9 is how do we get them to actually show up for the appointment? And at that point, we've built out a complete marketing funnel. And we're going to do all of this in triplicate, right? We're going to do 3 campaigns so that you have 3 campaigns completely blueprinted out that you can hand to your marketing vendor, whether it's a copywriter or video or whatever the case may be, and actually build this stuff out. Module 10 is then a shift of gears, and we're going to talk about maximizing client lifetime value, which is basically answering the question, how do I make my clients worth more to me? How do I create more value, deliver more value, and therefore generate more revenue per client? Because if you generate more revenue per client, you have more that you can reinvest back into your marketing or into other parts of your business, whatever the case may be. Then, so this will be the second half of day 3 most likely, we will get into the conversation of, now that you've got a blueprint, who and how do you engage to build it out for you? And then how do you hold those people accountable, give them KPIs, give them detailed instructions to make sure that it actually gets done and gets done right. And so when we get to modules 11 and 12, we're going to give you detailed job posts, scope of work statements, KPI tracking spreadsheets, everything you need to walk out of here fully empowered to take this blueprint, give it to a vendor, and have it executed properly. Make sense? So it's a lot. It's a lot. And I just want you to be prepared. We are going to roll up our sleeves and do the work. And it's going to be worth it, because building an automatic marketing machine that generates clients for you, whether you're on vacation or whether you're in court or whether you're asleep, is well worth the effort we're putting in. So that's where we're going. That's what we're doing pretty much the rest of the way this week. Sound good, everybody? Yes. Awesome. Okay. So before we get into the next step here, I want to hear maybe from like 2 or 3 of you, and we're going to kind of do this throughout the rest of the workshop. Tell me why you're here, right? Like, what motivated you to get up and come to this workshop, and what is the number one outcome that you want from this workshop? You want to walk out of here with what accomplished and what brought you here. So any volunteers, I will toss you the mic, or feel free to come up to the mic stand. But I want to hear why, and I want to hear the number one thing you're hoping to accomplish.
So, Romero Rodriguez. I am right now onboarding Lawmatics, which I'm hoping is going to help me with PNCs. And so this course directly, I hope, is going to help me with the lead magnet, then to get them interested, sending them emails, and I hope we're going to get to make some emails of some sort.
Perfect.
So that I can start getting more clients without me having to do the work, which I keep seeing you say automation. When you say that, we're going to be using a program, right, of some sort?
You are creating a blueprint. You are creating emails. You are creating text for landing pages. You will then take that blueprint and give it to your Lawmatics team or give it to whoever. There are a ton of different tech platforms for landing pages, for email automation, for social media marketing, tons of different options. I don't have a strong opinion, well, in some cases I do actually have a strong opinion, on which tech you use, but what I'm giving you is information that you can plug into any number of tech systems, including Lawmatics.
Perfect.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because I have landing pages, I have lead magnets, but I never had any kind of follow-up, and so I would get some clientele, but nothing like I would like to. So hopefully out of this, I'll get a better process. Yeah.
I'll tell you, that's not uncommon. The idea of lead magnets has been around for a while. Many law firms, many businesses have at least experimented with lead magnets. What's almost never present is the follow-up system. Yeah. And that's where you make your money, like, honestly. And so 100%, we're getting into that, and I'm glad. That sounds good.
Yeah, it all worked out perfectly.
Cool. Anybody else want to share? Yeah, can we pass the mic back that way? Oh. Sorry. Hey, that was a good effort.
No problem. Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody had a good lunch also. My name is Jonathan Mills. I'm with the Gray legal team, and I'm brand new to marketing for a law firm. So I'm here to learn as much as I can. I've been in a CGO and a CBO for corporations, marketing to Apple, Toyota, Bosch, etc. So I know the marketing, but not maybe this marketing. So I'm hoping to take as much as I can back and grow our law firm in Southern California No disrespect to the other family law firms, but to be the biggest and best. So thank you.
Love it.
Yep.
Awesome. Can I hear from like 2 more people? I'm just going to throw the mic at somebody.
All right.
Got a hand raised where? Over on this side.
No, I'm not throwing it that far. I might hit her on accident.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Novak, and I'm an environmental lawyer from the LA area. Most of my business comes from referrals, and it's catch as catch can. Somebody needs an environmental lawyer now because they're in trouble, and then I get that call, easy peasy, we get the client. What I need to do is have a more reliable set of leads coming through more consistently, and I feel as if I've spent the last few years putting out these radio signals, hoping for them to connect to some other life form. I need to figure out how to target those to reach the right people. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm here for.
I love it. Did you make some progress in terms of diagnosing and detailing your target personas?
So I talked to 2 of my referral sources who are both environmental consultants and deal with hundreds of my potential
Did we exchange an
clients.
email?
I'm sorry. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
we
okay,
sent you the email in
perfect.
advance.
Okay.
And what's funny is I thought I wanted to start targeting a certain client, and the consultant I talked to in that field was like, I don't know what these people, they're all over the place. He couldn't identify commonalities for them. And the other one kind of started saying things that really triggered some ideas in my brain about who really needs us. And so that was very helpful to get that kind of information about people who need to catch their problems before they become problems.
Got it. Awesome. Cool. One more person want to go? Want to hear why you're here, number 1 reason you're here, and number 1 thing that you want to get out of the workshop? Right over here.
I'll walk, so no one has to throw.
I'll meet you halfway.
Thank you. I'm Joy Edwards with the Edwards Law Group, and we do family law in Georgia. And short of, I think, a couple of months ago, I started doing Google Verified. That was my first step in with marketing. It's costing a fortune. I'm not really seeing any results.
Is that Google local ads? Is that?
So it's where you get the check beside
Yeah.
your name.
Okay, on
which
Google. Yeah?
I was ignorant enough. I'm like, that's not advertising until the charges kept showing up on my credit card. And so I want to understand, like, how to make it that while I am here, I still have leads that my intake person can convert coming into the office instead of I'm here or wherever.
Love it.
And things just shut down. And just to get a clear understanding of who my ideal client is, because even with my discussions with you, who I thought was my ideal, not really my ideal. I spoke to 2 people over the break and had good conversations with them. And I see a trend just from those 2 conversations that I can take to this person that I've hired to help me with my marketing.
Very good. Cool. I'm glad. Can you pass the mic directly behind you?
Hi, Francine Drive, South Florida. We help immigrant families create their new beginnings. So we are a 2-part firm. We have family, we have immigration. The issue that I have with family, the most I want to get out of the family law, is that I have one area of marketing. And if for whatever reason that marketing falls through, I'm back to 0, which is just past clients maybe sending us referrals, or maybe an attorney here or there sending us referrals as well. So I want to be able to have multiple sources of marketing that markets while I'm sleeping. So I want to be able to do that to create additional and do it smart, do it wisely. We have some SBA loan money that's sitting in an account waiting for us to spend it, and I refuse to spend it poorly. So I want to be able to do something that's actually going to make money at a faster rate than the interest, which is not that much, but over a period of time, it's a lot of money. I want to be able to spend the money that I have in my bank account wisely. And also, in the immigration side, immigration is a national type of law, which means that we have been focusing solely on South Florida, the same market we have in family, when we don't have to. So I want to be able to target it nationally as well, and we're not tapping into that market at all. We don't know how to do it smartly enough. And again, again, we like the pretty ads, the things that don't really make you money. I can do something really pretty on, I don't say TikTok, but I guess Instagram, but they are not actually making us money, and they're not getting us the return that we need. So I want a return on my investment.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Sorry.
I can throw it to
Yeah, let's do it.
her
Let's do
and
one
then
more.
throw it. I'm gonna throw it to you in the black.
I saved you. Okay, so Lisa Murtha from Tacoma, Washington. I work for Bottomore and Associates. We're the law firm where family is our focus. I feel like we have a lot of marketing avenues, and I feel like we don't get a lot of quality leads coming from them. It'd be really nice to not have to chase and find those perfect leads, and to have an automatic marketing machine bring those A clients to us.
So I'm hearing automatic, and I'm hearing increased quality of leads. Maybe you're happy with volume, but it's more about quality?
Quality,
Yeah,
correct.
got it. Cool. Awesome. Good stuff, guys. And I appreciate everybody's input. All right, so before we jump into Module 4, I'd love to hear basically how the calls went. And I heard a few of you say, and I had a few conversations during the break, that the people you thought were your ideal clients, maybe now you're not 100% sure they are your ideal clients. I heard other people saying you got some great information that you would never have thought of. And I heard some other people saying they basically confirmed what I thought. All of which are great outcomes. And the real value in doing this exercise is, so even if you already think you know, and even if you have it right, it's a confirmation. And oftentimes you have a conversation, you learn something that you had no idea. I would encourage you that this shouldn't be like a one-time thing that you did just once at a workshop. Like, these are the kinds of conversations that you should really have on a semi-regular basis with clients. And you can do it phone calls like you did today. You can do it by just creating a survey and including a link on the bottom of your email signature. This is one of those things where it changes, right? And so your ideal clients may have had one set of concerns pre-COVID, and then during COVID that changed, and now that we're completely emerged from COVID, it's changing again. So what I want to encourage you is just don't lose track of the pulse of your ideal clients. It's just one of those things where you really need to keep going back and checking in and figuring out, have things changed. Anybody want to share some insight or something interesting that came out of that conversation? Eric? Up to you.
I just ran here, so I want to sit. I was surprised. I thought that my ideal clients come to us because they are afraid of getting into trouble with the SEC, because that's what I do. I help them not get into trouble. That's not what they were thinking. They came to us because they didn't want to look like idiots, and they were confused about how to do it. They weren't worried about getting into trouble. They didn't want to look dumb, and they didn't want to be confused. And they liked that we did it all in like a one-stop shop kind of, and this is all we did. And they liked our pricing.
So it wasn't as much a fear-based thing, which is what you originally thought. It was more an image-based thing, a look like they have their shit together thing.
And they were also, all of them, I think pretty consistently, their emotion, and it was hard to get to the emotion. I asked one guy, what was your emotional state? How did you feel? What was kind of like your driving emotion? Were you afraid of something? Were you concerned about something? And he bypassed the question completely and just went off on, mostly they were excited by the prospect. They were excited by success and doing the deal. That was kind of the only emotion I could really get out of them.
So they're excited and they want to not look dumb, and they want to feel and look like they have their shit together. Yeah, cool. That's good. That's really good.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. You just pass it to your
John.
question. Do you guys do we like the catch microphone, or do we all just want to go stand at the?
Either way is fine.
All right, then we'll keep using it. All right.
So, we had some great conversations with a couple of different personas, and the ones with the estate planning clients kind of confirmed what we already suspected. We had a great one with a probate client, and we heard some very interesting comments. Things like, well, before we engaged your firm, number one, we were rudderless. We didn't really know where to go. This particular client is executor of a $3 million estate. And they said, well, we thought we could handle this ourselves. We actually went to the courthouse, tried to get some forms. So that was really interesting. And I think big picture, what this client was saying is we really needed information to figure out, like, what do we need to know? What are we not aware of that we should be aware of? And then point us in the right direction. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there for a lead magnet that is focused on education.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Did you get any insight into sort of the emotional state?
I think just kind of some confusion, also concern that, hey, if we don't do the right thing, we might get sued by these other beneficiaries.
Awesome. There's
Yeah.
another lead magnet, honestly.
Yeah.
How not to get sued by
Yeah,
other
for sure.
beneficiaries. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
That's
it.
great.
Cool. Couple more?
Yep. So I got some mixed information, but one of the things that one of my clients said that the reason why he went to another lawyer too, and the reason why he hired our firm is because we seem to care about him as opposed to just the amount of money
Can
that we
you
would get.
remind me your practice area?
It's personal injury.
Okay, perfect.
And so I also had trouble getting them to talk about, some of the clients to talk about their fears, but he was just afraid mostly of getting better and would he ever get better, and things like that. But it was interesting because that's a while ago, while I was with How to Manage, and when I was trying to find a niche for me, and as personal injury lawyers advertise, and there's these big mill firms and all that. And so that's kind of what we have come up with, that we offer this hands-on caring experience and offer a lot more than just trying to get people money. So, we try to get to know them, help them in a lot of ways.
So you got some confirmation that message matters.
But I don't know how to market that other than having something
That's
that
okay.
says we care about you, not just the money.
Yeah. We've got 2 more days to build on top of that and answer the
Okay.
question of how do you get that message out there.
Yeah. So it was good to have that confirmed
Yeah.
too. Yeah. By
Really
at
good.
least one
Really
person.
good.
Okay.
Let's keep going. This is really good. Yeah.
Oh, good. We don't have to throw it.
I actually called my highest net worth clients, so everybody who's like over 10 million.
Sorry,
I do
practice area?
Divorce.
Divorce?
And all of them said the same thing, is that I didn't use stilted language when I talked to them. Because, I didn't tell them I don't know stilted language, and that's the biggest part now. But they were like, talk to me like a person. That's it. Like, I sat down and talked to you, just like, hey, man, what's up? That sucks. She's not going to F you in the ass and things like that. And when I talked to the female clients, it's the same thing. I'm like, man, we'll bend them over a barrel and we'll hit it hard. And they liked it. And, like, for some reason, they just, kept coming back to that. They just talked to them like normal people.
So there's a lead magnet title for you.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome. Yeah.
So the 2 people that I talked to, I think what's connected for me is that they said why they signed up with us and not other attorneys that they talked to was that they feel like we connected with them in a compassionate way, and that we listened to them, and they got the feeling, and we would have been me, because I'm the one doing the consults, that like their family was important to us as well, which was interesting because usually I'm not very touchy-feely. Anybody who knows me knows that, so I must be doing that part right, but it gave me, it kind of gave to me the confirmation that I needed to stop avoiding calling that video thing and going ahead and scheduling the videos that I've already done the first program, so just like the monthly videos that I've slacked off on, because that's the way that apparently they're connected.
Yeah.
So
I could
that was
not
great.
agree more that video is the best way to convey that compassion and that, you really give a shit.
So I had 3 calls this afternoon, and it was actually pretty interesting. something that I realized is that I want to work with more female clients. Just we were connecting better, and it's just nicer. I'm not going to be PC about it. Sorry, guys. But one of the clients that I spoke to, she was, and I didn't know this because our project was super fast. Like she was in and out in less than 3 weeks. But she was a legal secretary for 45 years, and she goes, "I've never worked with an attorney like you." And I was just like, "What do you mean?" And she gave some good feedback on like responsiveness and actual like firm practice side, but what she was afraid of was, we did like a lien release. She had a lender who wouldn't release her lien, and then she needed to fund her trust. And she goes, "I was afraid I was going to die, and someone else is going to have to fix this." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I didn't even realize that was the motivation. I thought she just wanted to get this one thing fixed." So it was interesting to hear that side of that side of her part. The other side is, and we were talking about this before we went on to break, about working with unrepresented buyers. Or buyers in California. So for those who don't know, people in California typically don't hire attorneys when they're buying or selling real estate. And one of my clients was an unrepresented, so he didn't have a real estate agent. And I was asking him, I said, if you do it over again and you had a real estate agent, would you hire an attorney? And he goes, "I don't know, it'd depend." And I was like, "Well, tell me more." So it was just interesting to hear it was more financial, and it would depend on the background of the real estate agent, which I was like, ugh. Okay. Then I asked him, I said, "Well, what about when you sell this house and you hire a real estate agent? Are you going to hire an attorney?" He said, "No." I was like, "Oh, okay. Tell me more." And it's, totally on that side, it's 100% financial. I'm already paying a real estate agent to sell it. Why would I have an attorney to do the rest? And I was like, okay. But there were good conversations with all three people that I spoke with.
Yeah, and again, so we had the conversation right before lunch, and I think the education angle and helping people understand why it's so important to have an attorney
Actually,
and what could go wrong.
That was one thing that came up. He goes, "I didn't even know I could hire an attorney until another attorney said, 'Go hire an attorney.'" And he said, "We've been talking to all of our friends, and they're all interested, and they're like, 'I didn't know I could hire an attorney.'" And I was like, there we go.
Love it.
Okay,
Love it.
so
That
thank
campaign
you.
almost writes itself.
Yeah.
I love it.
So I was able to speak with 3 clients.
A little closer?
Sure. I was able to speak with 3 clients over the break. And I know we've always talked about, trying to express things in terms of time or money or reputation with respect to, your benefits. I never gave reputation really much of a consideration. To me, I was always trying to help someone through a time issue, a money issue. Those were the kind of, I thought, the pain points. What I learned, though, is that to the clients, the reputation thing was important. And so a couple of these business clients I have and some litigation choices they've made, they were explaining to me about, getting to the point where, they wanted to, they felt they had to proceed forward with litigation to enforce what is right or being taken advantage of. And so I said, well, so there's a revenge factor somewhat. And they said, no, it's not exactly revenge. It's being taken advantage of or doing what's right. So I found also it was helpful to hear their own words about what I had heard as revenge. They said, no, that's not really how I think of it, but it's really these other points, which then in creating some marketing messaging, I could use their words back to them and speak to them in that kind of way. So I found that to be helpful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Hello, my name is Delilah Santos from the Santos Law Office. I do bankruptcy and immigration, and as I was answering the questions before we made the calls myself, I was coming up with all sort of answers that I hear all the time from these clients. I spoke to 4 people. 3 were bankruptcy related, and 1 was immigration. No, 2 bankruptcy, 2 immigration. 3 of them, their biggest fear or their secret desire really was peace of mind. The 3 the answers that I had come up with was, better credit, buy a home, get the green card, get this, get that. And they were so simple about it. They just wanted peace of mind, and they explained exactly what he meant for them in their particular case. 2 was the bankruptcy work, 1 was immigration, and it all made so much sense. And it made me realize that sometimes I create all these what I think they want, and at the bottom, like bottom of the day, they just want peace of mind. So that was enlightening for me. And then it also gave me the opportunity. Some of these people. One of them, which was a bankruptcy client, needs to file for citizenship, so we're doing that. And then 2 others in immigration, they need to remove the conditions from the green card. That's coming up soon. So great calls.
So those calls actually generated some,
Yes.
some sales?
Yes,
All right,
yes.
let's give that a round of applause. Heck yeah. Love it. I just want to touch on what she said there, because it's such a good point that it's really easy, and like I'm guilty of this too. Like a lot of people are guilty of this too, because especially, you know, as a lawyer, you're so highly educated and so specialized and so skilled in like the depth of the legal issues that it can be easy to feel like that's how your clients are thinking, because that's what you're thinking about every day. But that's often not what your clients are thinking about. So to find out that like it's not about the series of steps, it's just I want peace of mind. Like that is such a valuable insight. And honestly, we're going to get into that in this next module here. But I just wanted to say like that's awesome, and that's a really, really good revelation, because it, you know, peace of mind is maybe going to become your new homepage, you know, headline, because that's what your clients care about. So really well done. That's awesome.
I'm Leslie Bottomore. I own a law firm where the family is our focus. We practice family law and elder law, but family law is like our mothership. And I brought my non-attorney sales dragon. And this call just kind of reminded me of why it's important to have a non-attorney sales dragon. So this, I called 3 clients, and one of them took up the bulk of my time. He happens to be an active client. And I have like 21 years of clients I could have called. But I told him I wasn't going to charge him for the time we talked about the merits of his case. Probably I heard Arjan in my head saying, schedule another time for that call. But anyway, I think we have an equal split. I think Lisa would agree of male, female clients. So I don't think, you know, I prefer necessarily to work with one gender or the other. What resonated in my call with him was I like working with people who care about their matter, who are involved, who care about their kid. Like I will withdraw from a case if it starts to feel like I care about their kid more than they care about their kid. And he's a very involved client, very engaged, very active in his own case. And so I did ask him what keeps him up at night. He says, well, I go to bed early, I go to sleep in 3 minutes. But he was able to say what causes him anxiety. And one of the things he said, because it's been like ongoing litigation for him with mom, and his first attorney was kind of moving toward retirement, so that's how he got referred to me for like the second go around. And he just has this sense that the courts are biased in favor of women. And so I thought, well, because I don't honestly believe that, having practiced family law for 21 years and seen like positive outcomes for dads. And so I thought, that's what I can bring to this, is like dispelling that myth and reassuring that anxiety that a client like him may have. Lots of men clients, I think. Have. And then the other, I asked for recommendations on how we could improve, and he was like, can you like lawyer it down? You know, like just tell me in plain English. And that's what made me realize like why people, I mean, there are many reasons why people love Lisa, but one of them is like she and our other dragon like relate on just a human level, without getting into all the legalese that I think we tend to just adopt as second nature, like day-to-day language that we assume everyone talks like we talk. So that was good insight.
That is really good. Yeah. Awesome. Fantastic.
Hi, Francine Drive, South Florida. We help families create their new beginnings. I've been up here a few times. So there was only one of my clients who was available to talk. She missed her call. So I had 2 potential clients, and I literally just used this, and it was 2 of the fastest sales I've ever made.
Really?
I barely spoke. I'm like, what do you want? Why do you want that? And they're like, oh my gosh, you're the first person that's ever asked me that. And it's not so much as what you want, more of, well, why do you want that? And the sale was, okay, well, I don't have all the answers now, I get it, but you'll figure it out, but the fact that you asked me. And one of the well, I guess he's a client now. One of the clients said, I'm like, what do you want? He's like, I don't want to lose my shirt. That's it. Just don't have her kill me in a divorce, which is part of one of the strategies or one of the things that I thought was a concern. And the other one, it was she's not that older, but older woman, an adult daughter. And part of the reason that we opened up our law firm, me and my best friend here, is that we're a trilingual law firm and we're first generation. So we do a lot of things for our parents. And one of the reasons why I wanted to become an attorney is because I wish that I was the attorney that my parents had when they were dealing with their case. And I was very involved because mom had language issues, and same thing with Melissa. And I don't want to say we lost that, but that hasn't necessarily been part of our marketing other than we're a trilingual law firm, because you don't find that often where the actual attorneys speak the second language. You'll find plenty of people in the paralegal department or somewhere underneath the attorney that does that. So that kind of reminded me that we may be neglecting that field because the adult children who are not involved in the case have a lot of say-so in what happens and how the case moves forward, and half the times they're financing it anyway.
So I love that, and I would encourage you, especially since you weren't able to have a ton of conversations, like that sounds great, and I believe that, but I would encourage you to try to get a few of those types of clients on the phone and just kind of confirm that.
No, I'll call them. I'm like, do I not? Because we do have a Spanish-speaking attorney. We don't have one Creole-speaking yet other than me, and I want to get myself out of the minutia, but with a little bit more, I think a little bit more cases, we can probably hire another attorney that replaces me in that department in language skill.
Love it. We'll have the phone calls. I love it, and I think you're in a great direction, but do have those phone calls. All right, one more.
Yes, so I'm the other half of that.
A little closer.
And I actually ended up talking to a client, and what was interesting enough is that we had a miscommunication. He showed up at our office fully dressed, thinking it was a video thing.
Oh, no.
But he loves those, and what he did, which I maximized on that, was he goes, I could do a video testimonial for you guys. I would love to set it up. And I was like, when can you and your wife come over? This was a very sympathetic case as well as an immigration case, but they ended up taking in a child that wasn't theirs, and eventually we got them like a special immigrant visa, whatever. So it was great to talk to them. 4 years later, now this child's an adult and she's going to become a citizen. But he's willing to come in and do that. I was like, oh, you know, she's like, you don't have to, but, I'll feed them when they come in. But they're willing to go ahead and do that. We were trying, Arjun already bitched about this to us maybe a year and a half ago, the language thing, right? But it is very difficult, especially because Francine speaks Creole. So it's not really French, it's Creole. And now that we had for the summer Creole-speaking intern, we did a few videos regarding TPS and even news and stuff like that. And we did have some people reach out. But the problem is when the intern is not there, then it falls on her again.
Right.
So until we have the staffing part actually set up, it's going to be difficult to transfer. But we want to know how it could be done.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that we can staff it.
Awesome. I love it.
Thanks.
Awesome. Good job, guys. All right, really good stuff. Just show of hands, who in these calls learned something new or surprising you just didn't expect, just out of curiosity? All right, pretty good percentage of the room. And who would you say it really just kind of confirmed what you already thought? Okay, a couple people. Awesome. Both of those are great outcomes. Both of those are great outcomes. We now have a set of clearly defined client personas. We have clearly defined our target market. So now, what the hell do we say to them to get them to engage with our business? And Module 4 is all about creating irresistible messaging. Here is kind of the key central point that I need you to understand when it comes to messaging. The number one cardinal sin that most lawyers commit when it comes to messaging, a few people already hit on that here in this room, they make it too much about themselves and not about the client. Bottom line, effective messaging and effective marketing is not about you. It's not about how great your law firm is. It's not about your years of experience. It's not about your extensive knowledge of like the legal process required to get this stuff done. Effective messaging is about how you are going to make life better for your clients. That's it. effective messaging is about how you are going to solve a problem or help them address an opportunity to get from where they are currently to where they want to go. So that's the filter we need to run this through. It's not about you. It's not about your years of experience. It's not about how pretty your office is. It's about how you are going to solve problems and help your target clients make their lives better. We could do an entire weekend on just this concept. We obviously don't have time to do that. Has anybody read the book StoryBrand by Donald Miller? StoryBrand, okay. If you haven't, which it looks like most of you have not, that is a book that's well worth checking out. It is a fantastic book on messaging and how to deliver really compelling messaging. And kind of the key point is most businesses, most law firms make themselves the hero of their story. And their marketing is about them and how great they are. And successful marketing flips that script and says, client, you are the hero. You are the hero of this story, and everything I'm doing from a marketing standpoint, everything I'm doing from a business standpoint, is about helping you get from point A to point B. Like, that is the point of marketing, and that's how you create really powerful messaging. Sam Brotman, are you in the room? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to throw your homepage up here because you do a fantastic job of that. Compare those three to this. Our tax attorneys have saved over $1 billion for our clients. Like, holy shit, do you see the difference? You know, I know that I'm a little bit too into marketing because, like, that gives me goosebumps. Like, that gives me goosebumps legitimately. But, like, I hope you understand that for the hundreds of prospective clients that hit your homepage every single month, if you have a headline that doesn't pull them in, like, you're wasting a shitload of money, right? You're wasting a huge opportunity. Effective marketing is about how you are going to make life better for your clients. That's what it's about. Marketing is problem solving. Right? We've identified a series of problems, and we're going to continue identifying a series of problems, and your marketing and your website and the campaigns that we're going to blueprint out today are about problem solving. It's solving a specific problem for your clients. So, let's talk about problems. So, what's the problem? How do you define the problem? Or I'm going to say the opportunity. And when I use problem, guys, I want you to substitute problem or opportunity. Because for some of you, the type of law that you practice is really more about big opportunities that your clients have to improve their lives, especially if you're B2B, right? So there are kind of two elements to defining a problem. First, there's the surface level problem. Okay? This is the obvious surface level. This is what got them to pick up the phone or start doing some research. This is, hey, my husband told me he wants a divorce. This is, I'm selling my house, and so I need an attorney. This is, I was in a car accident, and I need help recovering a judgment. Surface level problem, right? Super simple, super straightforward. Most people understand this, and it's important that we have identified these surface level problems, but where most marketers and most business owners go wrong is they never take the next step and get into the emotions underlying the surface level problem. How does the problem make you feel? When your spouse tells you that he or she wants a divorce, how does that make you feel? Scared, mad, depressed? When you create marketing that speaks into that emotional level and really demonstrates that you get what they're going through, that you understand it, that you know what it's like to be in their situation, you create a connection on a much higher level. So, number one, it's about, and by the way, you can go ahead and flip to page 36 in your workbook. We're not going to start working quite yet. but we're going to go through an exercise where we're going to start by listing out the persona, and we're going to go through this exercise of saying, okay, what's their surface problem? So, hey, I'm out of diapers. And what's the emotional level problem? Like, how does this problem or opportunity make them feel? So that's what we're doing on page 36. And then continuing across, we need to define the stakes, right? What happens if their problem, their surface level problem, is not resolved successfully? Like, what disaster awaits them? We had this conversation, I had this conversation with a few of you, which is that a lot of prospective clients just don't understand that. They don't understand how high the stakes are, right? They don't understand that if I fail to take action, if I fail to solve this problem, it might torpedo my entire life. It might torpedo my house. It might torpedo my job. And conversely, they don't necessarily have a vision for how much better life can be once you define what success looks like. So what I'm going to ask you to do is think through, number one, what does success look like when they resolve that problem? Like, what good things happen to them when they resolve the problem? And then, number two, conversely, what does failure look like? What happens if you don't ever solve the problem, or if you fail in your attempt to solve the problem? And I want to be clear here. Like, a lot of people get squeamish when we talk about, like, talking about failure and scaring people. And I want to be clear, the goal here, I'm not advocating that you just resort to, like, scare tactics and just try to terrify everybody into hiring you. But what I want to be clear on is just the level of inertia and complacency that you're dealing with the vast majority of your PNCs. Like, you kind of have to scare them sometimes to get them to understand, like, the gravity of the situation and how important it is that they actually get off their ass and do something about it. Like I said this morning, your number one competitor is not actually your competition. Your number one threat is the apathy and the laziness and the complacency and the inertia that your PNCs have, because they just won't get off their butt and take the first step. So, like, for example, driver's ed, most driver's ed classes, at least everywhere I've lived, are, the main thing that they do, I swear it's the main thing that they do, I've heard this from multiple people, is they show kids these terrible pictures of what happens if you're in a car accident, and these just gory pictures, and they scare them. And the reason they do it is because that's what it takes to get through. Like, kids aren't paying attention until you define the stakes for them. So the exercise here on page 36 is starting the first column. You label your persona, right? So you can flip back to whatever page it was where you kind of summed up and organized your client personas. And then choose one. It's really important. Each row, we're just doing this for one specific problem. What problem can you solve? What opportunity is there for you to solve a problem for that client on the surface? And then how does that problem that they're facing make them feel? And then on the other side of the page, what happens if they fail? What if they don't solve the problem? And what happens if they succeed? And so just to give you kind of a little example here, so your persona could be, I think this is like family law. Your persona is high-income professional dads. Surface level problem is the spouse wants divorce. Emotional problem is that makes the spouse feel like a failure, maybe afraid of losing their kids. Failure looks like financial trouble. It looks like not having access to your kids. It looks like being distracted at work, not being able to focus on your career. It looks like feeling bitter and unhappy. And then success is an equitable divorce, able to see your kids, creating a healthy new life, building a new beginning. So that's the exercise here. And we're going to do this at least 5 times. And if you want to go further, and there's room to probably write 2 or 3 more beneath. And I want you to understand, the reason we're doing this is these are going to become your lead magnets, okay? These problems that we identify are going to be, the next step is going to be creating a lead magnet around that problem. So I'm going to let you guys jump into it, but please raise your hands or come to the mic if you have questions. Can just show of hands if you've gotten through at least 3 surface level, three of the whole matrix. Okay, pretty much everybody. Awesome. So this is really important. This is what we are going to build our lead magnets and all of our follow-up messaging around. And so I want to hear from several of you. I want to be sure we feel really good about at least 3 of these before we move on. And so somebody who feels good, you want to come up to the microphone, or we can toss you the mic. And I'd love to hear, just kind of walk me through persona, surface problem, emotional problem, failure, and success. Come on up. And if you could stand real close to the microphone.
Okay. So I've got real estate investors / landlords. Surface
right.
problem is...
Hang on, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm Shanna Welsh-Levin, SoCal Realty Law.
Awesome.
We protect real estate investors and real estate professionals.
Perfect.
Let's say
So
that.
Shannon, are those 2 distinct personas? Real estate? Say again. It
No,
was real
that's
estate?
one of my personas. Real estate investors / landlords, because investors are
Okay.
usually landlords.
Okay. So you feel good about that's all one?
Yeah.
That's all one persona. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I have several others, so.
Okay, good.
That's fine.
Good.
And their surface problem is protecting the value of their investments by, not losing rent, keeping their vacancies low in their investment properties.
Got it. Say it one more time. It was
Protecting the value of their investments by keeping the vacancy numbers low and continuing to receive their rent.
okay. So protecting the value of their investment,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I want to be a little more. Is there like a specific sort of triggering event that makes them worried about protecting the value of their investment?
Yes. So one of my calls today was very enlightening. One of my very long-term clients who has a lot of rental properties, multifamily properties. Navigating government action is one of his big issues.
Yep.
I've been doing webinars ever since April 2020 to kind of navigate all the COVID laws.
Yep.
California landlord-tenant laws have completely changed in the last
Yep.
year. So we've done these webinars consistently every month to keep everybody up to date on that.
Got it.
So it confirmed what I knew was true.
Okay, good.
Also made me feel like I need to get smarter, learn some more.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's surface level problem, is protecting the value of their investment. And then emotional?
He was very concerned about others, people of low income who are suffering from inflation, not using their money wisely, and not using their money as a tool, which doesn't exactly correlate with the problem, but I think I know where he was going with that. Like if he loses his investment, or if he has vacancies, or if he's not taking care of his investment, then all of these people that live in his properties also lose.
Yeah. Okay. So that makes a ton of sense, but I don't know that it all belongs on the same row. Because if the surface problem is protecting my investment, what the next entry needs to be is like, how do I feel about protecting my investment? Like what happens what fears do I have if I don't protect my investment? Like what am I going to lose?
I think his fear is for his tenants losing their home. Like for
Okay,
his
so
tenants
he is
not living in a
concerned-
safe place, or, yeah.
Okay, so he's concerned. The surface problem is that he is worried about losing the value of his investment. And one of the things that he feels emotionally about that is that he doesn't want to let down his tenants.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's one other that maybe might help a little bit. He's concerned about paying taxes because if he can't pay the taxes, then he has to liquidate an investment. And so he needs to keep his liquid income, the rents coming in, increasing the rents regularly to keep the rent where it needs to be so that he can pay the taxes that he needs to pay, and also doing a bunch of stuff to reduce his tax liability.
So, got it. And I think we just need to be a little more clear about, like, I think it comes back to the triggering event. Like, so is it getting contacted by the government? Like, what is the thing that happens to them that makes them worried about losing the value of their investment?
All of the tax laws are about to change. Nobody really knows what's going on with the tax laws. So, I mean, that's not my area of law, but that's a surface level problem that he's very concerned about.
Okay. So I think that's a surface level problem in and of itself, is tax laws are changing. How's it going to impact and then emotionally, like, I get the sort of altruistic, he's worried about his clients, but I would imagine, unless you work with like saints, that they're ultimately also, if not more, concerned with what it's going to do to them, themselves, right?
This particular one, I don't know. Maybe he is a saint, but yeah. that was my assumption. He surprised me with his response.
And that's awesome. And so that tells me that definitely needs to be part of your messaging. But I don't think, like, remember, we've done 3 interviews. That was, one call. I don't want to, like, assume that that's how everybody feels either. Like, I think the emotional level problem, if the surface problem is losing value of investment, the emotional problem is, whatever fears are created by if that investment goes bad. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So give it a shot, kind of following that format, because I want to be sure we have a clear sequential surface problem, emotional problem, and then failure and success. Cool?
That is cool, yes.
Awesome.
All right.
Cool, thanks.
Thank you.
Anybody want to go? Hey, Mario. Yeah. Mario, yeah? You had, like, I really liked your answer, but half the room was taking their break. So would you mind walking us through what you said at the microphone 20 minutes ago?
Sure. Okay. Romero's younger brother. So 2 personas. One of them is the immigrant that's living in the U.S. In the shadows.
So this first one is specific to that immigrant, yeah? Like this?
Yeah.
Okay, so just give me that persona.
Because the product's 2 people, basically. We got the petitioner, and then we got the beneficiary.
Yep.
And so I'm talking about the beneficiary.
Yep.
So they need a green card, is the surface problem. They don't know where to start. They need legal documents in order to do something. And they want to make the U.S. their permanent home. The emotional problem. There is a cloud over me the entire time. I have fear of being discovered, fear that something will happen. I feel anxious, stressed. I'm living within limitations. I feel alone, scared, always looking over my shoulder. I can do better than this, and I'm qualified for so much more.
Awesome.
What failure looks like. Deportation, separation from family. I will be grabbed at any moment and removed from the U.S. without any help. Success. The cloud was lifted the moment I got a green card. The U.S. is now my permanent home. I'm living my full potential, and I am equal among everyone and no longer discriminated against.
Okay, awesome. Perfect, thank you. Do you have a second one?
Yeah, so
Okay,
that's
let's
the
hear that.
U.S. spouse, right?
Perfect. So U.S. spouse.
Right, so this is the person who's petitioning. The surface problem is I need my spouse to get legal status. I feel overwhelmed and I don't know where to start. The emotional problem, being apart. Will this process take so long that it will affect my relationship? It's a weight on my shoulders. I'm anxious, afraid, overwhelmed. I don't understand the process. Failure, they didn't say it, but I'm extrapolating that I'm going to lose my relationship due to the distance.
Yeah.
What success looks like. The clouds lifted, the weight's lifted the moment we get the green card. This made us stronger as a couple. If we can get through this, we can get through anything. We can now travel together. We have time to be with family.
Yeah, awesome. And so Thank you. So, well done. And so what's why I wanted to kind of go over this, and I want to hear from more as well, is the surface problem, which I maybe even could have called like the trigger. It needs to be like a clearly identifiable situation or event, something that happens to them, like a problem has been created, an opportunity has been created, and because the next thing we're going to do is build a lead magnet that speaks to that specific opportunity. So for example, something about, I need to get a green card, or I need to help my spouse get a green card. Either of those would be a really good place to start for a lead magnet, whether it was a PDF or a webinar or whatever. So that's kind of what we're looking for. So I'd love to hear a few more people kind of take me through. Do we have the catch ball microphone thing? Oh, hello. All right, here you go. I'm going to go for it. Boom. All right, let's hear it.
So my name's Edwin Flores, and we do criminal defense in Los Angeles, California, and also DUI. And this avatar is for a 25 to 40-year-old male or female, married with family, with children. And the surface problem is losing your driver's license. The emotional problem is unable to go to work, loss of your job, unable to feed your family. What does a failure look like is an automatic suspension without challenging it, loss of your job, unable to provide for your family. And success looks like an opportunity to save your driver's license, being able to maintain your job, and continue providing for your family.
Very well done. Do you have another one?
Another one is surface problems, going to jail. The emotional problem is losing time with your family, unable to support your family while you're away, financial hardship to your family and your loved ones. Failure looks like going to jail for maximum time allowed, hardship to your family, and success is not going to jail for the maximum time allowed and being able to support your family.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Everybody else? Actually, I need like 4 more of these.
Hi, Adrienne Hahn. Our firm one area, we represent students when the school, other teachers, or students are being bullies to them.
Awesome.
So the persona in this one is the family or student, because I have college students and older students. Problem is in students expelled or suspended. The emotional problem is serious fear, frustration, unknown what's going to happen. I tried to keep the emotions, and I don't know if that's what you were aiming for, the emotions into the 5 main emotional categories.
Sure.
I don't know if I should broaden that, but okay. Then failure looks like criminal charges pending, kid self-esteem drop, which obviously can lead to self-harm and other serious emotional distress issues. Educational challenges, meaning the student can't continue their education, can't get the degree they want, can't go to the profession they want if they have to go to an Ivy League school, if that matters to them. And obviously financial loss, tuition, obviously attorney's fees, litigation if they have to, those kinds of things.
Good.
And then success is the student is able to continue in their education dreams, going to the dream school, what they want to do. Their reputation is saved in front of their friends and their peers, and their self-confidence is boosted, and obviously it goes to money as well.
Good. So the kind of surface problem triggering event is the student was suspended or expelled.
Or expelled, yes.
Right? Is the persona the parent, so it's my child was suspended, or is it the student himself or herself was suspended?
It's both.
Okay. So I would actually make that into 2 distinct things. Everything you said is great. It's just as we build lead magnets and follow up and all of that, we're going to speak to the parent whose child was expelled differently than we're going to speak directly to the student. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
you.
We'll go him and then you.
Okay, I'm Jerry Carter with the Sierra Crest Business Law Group out of Reno, Nevada. We guide small business owners over rocky legal terrain.
Awesome.
So one of my problems is for the owner of a Reno area business, I need to break up with my business partner. My business partner has been taking advantage of me for years and now wants to repay me by destroying my business and taking it for himself or herself. Worst case outcome, I lose the business or it's destroyed. I'm on the hook for liabilities for taxes, rent, vendors, customer commitments, and no way to provide for my retirement. Best case is I keep the business or at least the business assets and then keep all the fruits of my own labors going forward.
Yeah. Awesome. I like it a lot. You got one more?
I have 4 more.
Sweet.
One more?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Okay, so then this would be a little different direction. I'm a trustee or a personal representative of a family estate.
Okay, so that's the persona.
That's a persona. A family member is challenging either the estate plan or my actions as the trustee.
Okay.
Everything I hated about how that family member treated me when dad or my spouse was alive has just gotten worse since that person passed away. It's just been magnified. My worst case scenario is I lose my inheritance, lose the respect of my family, and I get criticized or punished in court. Best case scenario is the loved one's decision to put me in charge is vindicated, judge accepts my work, inheritance is protected, and the complaining family member learns not to make accusations against me.
Okay, good. So just so I'm clear, so the trustee, the triggering event here is the trustee is challenged, right? Is challenged by another family member?
Yeah, either the plan is challenged or how they're conducting the affairs of the estate is challenged.
Got it. Perfect. Okay, awesome.
That
Good
work?
work.
Okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
that's great. Hey there.
Hi. Francine again.
Hey.
Okay. So my avatar persona is engaged Evan, and his surface problem is that he needs a prenup.
Sorry, say it again. The persona is?
Engaged Evan.
Engaged Evan, okay.
Engaged Evan. And his surface problem is that he needs a prenup. And success would look like he doesn't have to worry about what he has being taken from him, and he's not shackled to all of her debt. Failure looks like I'm asked out, she calls off the wedding, or 20 years later she leaves me for the pool guy and he's driving my Tesla and my kids are calling him daddy.
I love it.
And the emotional problem is scared of losing his shirt, all right, looking stupid with the paramour, or her and the paramour getting it all, no wife because she calls off the wedding, or his soon-to-be wife thinks it's all about the money and not about love.
Awesome.
Okay.
Okay, so the triggering event here is basically he's engaged and he wants a prenup. Yeah, okay, awesome. Really good, love it. Did you have one?
Yeah. Romero Rodriguez, when injured, we're your best friend against the insurance company. My persona is an injured person. The surface problem is unpaid medical bills and no medical insurance. The emotional problem is that the stress of the medical bills, sometimes they're half or more of what they make in a year. Failure looks like collection companies, they feel like a failure, they lower their credit score, and the bills will never get paid off. Success is the bills get paid off and the stress is over.
Awesome. Really good. You have another one?
Yeah. Injured person, surface problem, need medical treatment. The emotional problem is they're in pain and they cannot function. They're probably going to have to miss work and cannot support their family. Failure looks like they never get better again. They may keep a permanent injury and then lose their job. Success looks like they get to see the doctors that they wanted or needed to see, and they get to keep their job, and they get better.
Awesome. Very good. Very good.
So, persona, I'm a single mom, abusive father of my child, victim of domestic violence, afraid of court. Like, I've tried to go it alone, and it terrifies me.
Mm-hmm.
That and having to deal with my perpetrator.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's
Come to Baltimore law.
So that's your
Yeah, the problem, I think the surface problem is I'm seeking a buffer, someone to go to court for me.
Okay.
But the emotional problems are with me and my, how old is she? She's calling her tomorrow. 8-year-old daughter. I'm afraid. I have panic attacks. I have anxiety. I have nightmares. I shake anytime I'm in court. Anytime I have to see the perpetrator. I've gained weight. I don't walk with confidence. I have to find the trash bucket to puke during a court proceeding. And my daughter is also afraid, also has panic attacks, has night terrors, has gained, like, 8 years old, 20 pounds, not able to sleep over even at family members' homes, things like that. And failure looks like remaining the victim, not being able to get out of that mode of operating in the world. And success looks like what we actually saw her achieve, her and her daughter, with counseling going on alongside lawyering, like, I don't know, 8 different court appearances and a second action to modify the parenting plan, trial, all of that. And I think really seeing her as a creator, not a victim, and really seeing us as coaches and challengers. So the success looks like confidence, empowerment, independence, lost weight, able to have sleepovers, her daughter, good grades, freedom, just totally different human being.
Yeah, that's really
Really
good, really
awesome.
powerful. Question for you, though. I want to be sure we're clear on kind of the triggering, like the triggering event that sets that all in motion. You said they want a buffer, right? Like that's the...
Yeah.
And so what's the... I just want to be clear that we know, what... So is it... Yeah, so like what triggered the buffer? Like what triggered that need?
Triggered her thinking she needed a buffer?
Yeah.
Like
was she did abuse just happen, or
it
is
was
her
like
court
there
date
had
coming
been
up?
abuse in 2011, and then it resurfaced in, I don't know, 2019, when she came to us.
Yeah.
And I think the trigger was she thought she could go it alone, DIY, go to court, file a petition,
Mm-hmm.
and she had to face the court, and she had to face him, and it was like, I can't do this.
So the trigger was maybe that court action, that she
Right,
had to face the court and she had to face him. So the trigger was being kind of pushed into that situation, being forced into that situation, and not wanting to do it herself.
And maybe even before that, she called 911, and law enforcement wouldn't help her because there was no order to enforce. They said you need to file a petition for a protection order. So she went on her own. And then it was daunting.
Got it.
From there, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And
Yeah.
I think let's just be clear of what the triggering moment kind of is.
Okay.
And I think you said it there at the end. So good.
Okay.
Good,
Thank
good,
you.
good. Cool. We'll get to you next.
Hi, I'm Tanae Maddox from Houston, and we help families get to a better future and a fresh start. So, my persona is a professional dad. And the surface problem is that they can't afford to pay creditors. They don't really know what to do next. The emotional problem is that they fear losing their home or car. They feel like a failure. And then what failure looks like is financial trouble, not having a car to get to work because it's been repossessed. They're unhappy. They may be homeless or having to go live with their parents or other family members. And then what success looks like is saving his belongings from repo or seizure, having money in the bank after paying some bills, and being able to save for the future.
Awesome. Love it.
Okay.
Good work. Can I hear one more?
Sure. Okay. I have a professional parent. So most of our things we go for professionals because we like people with money. This one is that they want to file for divorce. That's the triggering event. So I do family law as well. But bankruptcy is what I've tacked on.
Yep.
So that's what I'm marketing for.
Got it.
They feel like a failure. They are nervous about the children and what's going to happen next with them. Super overwhelmed. They're also nervous that their spouse may lie in court. And what failure looks like is super contested divorce, fighting over the children, being left with no assets, long, grueling divorce, and just unnecessary court proceedings. What success looks like is a quick divorce, fairness, everybody kind of gets what they deserve, each person spending equal time with the children, and having a better life after divorce.
Cool. Love it. Good work.
Thank you.
Awesome. Can we, where's the mic? Actually, do you have it? Perfect. All right, you're up next, and then we'll get back in the back row there.
Okay, so we have a GC, so a general counsel for a developer, and the surface problem is that they have too much work, they don't have enough resources. The emotional problem is that they're afraid of, like, they have job stability, whether they do. They're afraid of being circumvented by maybe a law firm that gives them a hand or something like that. They're, in essence, insecure. They also have a fear of costing their client, the developer, millions of dollars. What does failure look like? Losing money, not stopping fires. There's always a constant fire that needs to be turned out, put out. And being invisible, not being recognized for their work. Success looks like closing deals with minimal problems, saving the day, getting job stability by making the boss look good. Yeah.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Well done. One more?
Yeah. So real estate investor. A surface problem is they want to turn a profit on an investment. The emotional problem is that this is their retirement, in essence, and they want to have a legacy to leave to their family. Failure looks like devaluing investment, losing money, and inability to provide for their family. Success looks like maintaining or increasing the lifestyle that they have, affording all the expenses that make them up, and high return on investment.
Awesome. And so just to be clear, the triggering event there is they are entering into a new investment?
They're buying a piece of property.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
Really well done. Love it. All right. We could pass it back that way.
Oh, boy.
Nice.
That was a lot easier. Okay, so my first persona is a high-income professional mom. Surface problem is she wants a divorce, or the spouse wants a divorce. The emotional problem is she's probably been cheated on, so she feels inadequate, she feels cheated, she feels stress, she's pissed off. The failure looks like being alone and husband getting what he wants, that a girlfriend is going to replace mom in the kids' lives, that the dad is happy and the mom is unhappy. And then success looks like, to the mom, to the client, that she has more time sharing, that the girlfriend is either not in the picture, which is not realistic, or that she's not replacing mom in the relationship, and that mom has like the primary responsibilities. Do I do a second one?
Awesome. Yes, in a second.
Sure.
What was the triggering event?
Husband wants a divorce.
Husband wants. Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Let's get a second one.
Sure. So again, the other part of my practice is probate. So within that is guardianship. So the persona is a low-income mom or dad with a special needs child turning 18 or has already turned 18. The surface problem is they need to plan for the future and have a guardianship in place for their special needs child. The emotional problem is having a lot of worry, stress, and anxiety about what happens when this child turns 18, not understanding, not being educated. And then the second emotional problem is having fear that the parents are going to pass and what's going to happen to this special needs child and who's going to take care of them. Failure looks like not getting the guardianship established, procrastination, and not having a plan in case they die as parents. And then success looks like setting it up, feeling educated, feeling comfortable, and knowing that their kid is going to be taken care of through the guardianship as with them as guardians. And then, God forbid, anything happens to the parents, that they have a plan in action after they pass.
Yeah. Awesome. Very strong.
Thanks.
Well done. One or maybe two more people want to share? I saw a hand up on this side of the room. No? Perfect.
I guess I can get up. Okay, so Lisa Murtha again. So my persona, first one was high-income professional mom, surface problems starting the divorce process. The emotional problem was afraid of the unknown or the future. Failure looks like disappointment, unhappiness, and failing her children. And so success was personal and emotional growth and helping the whole family succeed.
Fantastic.
So.
Well done. You got one more?
I do. So the second one, my other person called back right before I had to leave. So the second one, I actually went off of a meeting with a referral source I had a couple weeks ago. So hopefully it makes sense. So a financial advisor referral source is my persona.
Okay.
And her service problem is needing professional and trustworthy attorneys for estate planning referral sources. Her emotional problem is she's afraid of sending clients to somebody who will not perform. Her failure looks like loss of clients, reputation, and respect. And success looks like a great team, lots of happy clients, and hopefully more referrals.
Awesome. Well done. And that's a good way to think through the referral partner aspect, right? And a number of you have, whether it's other professionals or whoever as referral sources, and so thinking through, what's motivating the referral source, and the idea of, if I'm making a referral, I want to know that you're going to take good care of them and that you're going to make me look good for making the referral. The worst thing that can happen to me, if I make a referral and then you drop the ball, like that makes me look really bad, and there's basically no chance I'm going to make a referral to you next time. So that's great, and I know a number of you kind of have that as a part of your target audience. So that's a really good way to handle referral sources. Yeah. Okay. So is everybody clear on kind of the flow? It starts with a triggering event, a surface level problem, which then creates an emotional problem. Failure looks like this, and success looks like that. Is everybody feeling good about that flow? Okay. It's really important, and it's why we're spending time here, because this is going to become the building blocks of everything to follow. So if you'll flip to page 38 in your workbook, this is basically the place where you're going to summarize the work that you just did. And it just gives us an easy frame of reference tomorrow when we start building out lead magnets. So what I want you to basically do is just summarize. So in the persona column for number 1, it could be engaged Evan, and the surface problem is needs a prenup. Like that's all I need here is just kind of a basic summary so that we can flip back to this and we know what we're building. These are going to become the lead magnets that we begin creating tomorrow. And so I want you to put these in order of what you want to address first. Again, we're going to at least do 3 of these. We may do 4 or 5. So like, don't agonize between like, should it be first or second, because you're going to do both. But I do want you to take some time now and think about who are the sort of prime targets and what is the problem we're going to solve for them. So start in kind of priority order, and let's take a few minutes, let's do this, and make sure that we're all feeling really good about this process. Yeah, and jump to the mic if you have questions.
Well, I do have a question about this, because I don't really feel good about all of these, and maybe there's other personal injury lawyers in the room that can help me, or I can brainstorm with too, but like I shared earlier, so I have figured out the problem and the fears, the emotional, of clients who are really in need of money or not financially well off, obviously. But what I don't quite have a grasp on, because, you know, I do have clients who come to me that aren't really struggling financially, but they still feel like they, you know, should get compensated from the insurance companies. And the only thing I could really come up with is that, you know, they don't want to be they deserve to be compensated, but I don't know if they have a real deep emotional fear about that, or something that keeps them up at night. And the other thing is, you know, they don't want to be taken advantage of.
What happens to them if they're not taken care of financially?
Well, they have to dip into their savings or their other money, or, you know, something like that, I suppose. Or, you know, a lot of them even have health insurance. So, or they may have to miss work, and that might not, I suppose have had clients who worried about like promotions or things like that in their jobs from missing work for medical appointments and things like that. I don't know if I can really help them with that, though, always.
Well, I think what you identified there are the fears, right? And I think that's really good. So back up and tell me what's the persona?
Well, the persona is anyone that gets seriously injured either in a car crash or in another means.
Okay, so the persona is really anybody in your geographic
yes.
area, and then the triggering problem is they were injured in a car accident.
Correct, and then what happens is they try to deal with the insurance company themselves, or they get something happens where, or somebody tells them you got to get a lawyer, you know, or something like that.
So I would think of it as the triggering problem is they were injured, right? They were in a car accident. And then it sounds like the emotional problem is maybe the financial catastrophe that could befall them, right? If they don't get the compensation they need. So the fear of losing their job, the fear of not being able to provide for their family. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. But I guess what if it's like a person who is married to someone who's that's taking care, that money really isn't the huge concern, but they still.
So, John, I want to hear from you, but I just want to say this real quick before. You just described 2 different personas.
Yes.
And so we will create messaging for both of those.
Okay.
There is the messaging and there's the campaign for the person where money and the fears around money is the problem, right? And that is one campaign.
Okay.
That is one campaign that we just created. And then there's probably different messaging and different, like everything is then different for the person who is not worried about the money. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I'm just having a hard time coming up with the fears of the person that does have the money.
I do have a client right now that has money. So his motivation is not money. He's angry that this happened to him by no fault of his own. And it's gotten to be a nightmare of a client because he's not motivated by money. He wants to punish the other guy and make him go through all this. And so at that point, I'm like, I may have to let him go because, you know, he's getting better. He already went through treatment, but yet he's still angry.
Yeah.
So yes, sometimes it's just the anger.
You do make a good point. I think the wealthiest client I ever had, I did end up firing.
Yeah. But so I'm just thinking, why would we want to worry about someone that has so much money? I mean,
Yeah.
It's
And then
the
they
less
tried
than
to sue
1%.
me, so.
Yeah,
At
you know,
the-
it's
at
less
the
than
very-
1%. Why do we want to market to less
At the
than
very
1% of
least-
the United States?
Can we get the mic over to this side? John, I know you had something you wanted to throw in there.
So, yeah, I can speak from personal experience because I was injured in an auto accident and hired counsel to represent me. And it wasn't that I needed the money, but I wanted the money, and that was just one part of it. I tracked all the time that I took dealing with the administrative side of the accident, going to physical therapy. I mean, gosh, it was like somewhere between 50 to 100 hours. And I'm looking at, okay, what's my hourly rate? How much potential income did I lose there? And it was substantial. So that was one piece of it. It was also reputation for me. If I had walked from that, I would have felt like I was taken advantage of. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of concerns that whether somebody has money or doesn't have money, you can still find that emotional trigger.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, John. Sure. Really good. Hey.
Hello. I'm Rebecca Larson. I have a buyer persona, first-time home buyer with no real estate agent. So these are the guys who are, trolling the internet looking for the house, and then they reach out to the seller's agent to say, I want to put in an offer.
So they're buying a home and they don't have an agent.
They don't have
Got
their
it.
own agent yet.
Okay.
So what's offered is the seller's agent says, well, I'll represent both of you. Their emotional problem is that they're really excited. They're ecstatic to be buying their first home, but they've never done this before. They're scared the agent, is not going to do the best for them, not sure what they need to do next. Their failure is not having a good experience, not getting what they want, losing the house, being taken advantage of. And I'll go back to this because my question actually has to deal with the failure part. Success is confidence in the purchase, feeling good about their future, enjoying their home without a bad taste, peace of mind. My question is about what does the failure look like? For me, and this is again something we talked about earlier, they don't know what the unknown failures are. So how do we address the failure in their mind is something totally different than the failures that they don't even know exist. So how do we market that? I mean, how do we talk about the things that they don't know are problems?
Yeah, definitely. I think, and we talked about this earlier, I think a big piece for you is going to be educating them on what those stakes are. Like, what are the stakes here? Because they don't, that was the piece of the problem diagnosis about what are the stakes? What does failure look like? And they don't recognize, they don't know what failure looks like. So this is like a classic example of like the DMV driver's ed thing that I was talking about earlier, where it's like these kids who are getting their driver's license, they just the idea of a car accident is just not real to them. They're teenagers. They've got other things to think about. So you really have to put a strong effort into helping them understand, like, this is really serious, guys, and the stakes are like really, really high here. So I do think, and we're getting slightly ahead of ourselves because we're not creating the lead magnets yet, but we're going to be doing that tomorrow, is educating them on what those stakes are. And so I think whether it's a video campaign, whether it's content, whether it's a lead magnet, absolutely 100% for you, we're going to have to put a special focus on really making them aware of what those stakes are.
Okay, cool, thanks.
Yeah, awesome. All right, couple more minutes to make sure everybody is organized and feels good about their top 5 problems. Right now, you're just summarizing it. Like, I just want you to have page 38 is an easy reference point. You can look back and say, these are the top 5 problems that we're going to build our lead magnets around. All we're doing right now is summarizing and giving ourselves an easy frame of reference. Hey, yeah, please.
So the top 5 problems. So my law firm is so niche, we really only do one thing. What we technically do is put documents together, do filings so that they can raise capital legally. So that's what we do for them. So how do I break that down into 5?
Well, you do it for different personas, right?
Right.
So you do it for real estate.
Yep.
You do it for financial.
Yep.
So what's the triggering event for real estate?
They want to buy a property or have funds available so they can jump on opportunities, real estate properties that become available to them.
So I think that could be number 1. That's a distinct, your persona is real estate. and the triggering event is they need to raise capital so they can make their real estate investment, or they can make their purchase, or they can have their cash available.
Right.
So like that is one, and it's distinct from finance, right? So
yeah.
finance, who's your persona there? Somebody that.
That's a guy who believes he's got special talent in investing and can really take advantage of
Okay.
some bullish strategy he has, either in crypto or just stocks in general.
Yeah, and so he wants to raise money so that he can do those things with it.
And make more money.
So totally a separate second problem, right? And there'd be a pretty kick-ass lead magnet we create around that, especially if we can get into like cryptocurrency, because the person who needs to raise money for a real estate investment is a different person and is thinking a different way than the person that needs to raise money for a cryptocurrency investment. And so and I can tell you from tons and tons of experience and testing that you're going to do much better if you create a campaign that's targeting the real estate guy, helping him solve the problem of how do I raise money for my real estate investments, and then a separate campaign targeting the finance guy saying, how do I raise money so I can invest in Dogecoin? You're going to do much better if you run those two campaigns distinctly instead of trying to just run one campaign where you're just generally saying, how can I raise money?
Which I guess is different than the guy who wants to raise money for cannabis.
Exactly.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Cool, yep.
Perfect.
So in estate planning, sort of the problem is I need an estate plan, but so many of the different personas, I think they don't know that they need an estate plan. So is that the problem, that young couple just bought a first home and their problem is they don't know that they need a trust now?
Okay, so the persona, walk me through it again. The persona?
This persona is young married couple, just first-time home buyers.
Okay. And I think probably that's the surface triggering event, right? Is
Yeah, the buying the
their
house
first
is the
home.
trigger.
Yep. Okay.
So then they have this house. They don't have much equity in the house, but it causes a probate because the value of the house they're looking at the value of the house, not the mortgage.
Sorry, how does probate come into it?
Because if they die without a trust in place, it goes through probate.
Okay. Okay, so the triggering event here is
they bought a house.
And somebody died?
No, they bought a house. They really should have a trust. If they had all their ducks in a row, they would have a trust to put their house in.
Okay, got it.
So it's like a will, except...
Yes, okay, I got it. Okay.
So they really should have an estate plan as soon as they buy their house.
Okay.
But it's an educational thing. They don't. No one's telling them, oh, you really should have a trust as soon as you buy a house.
Yes.
So they don't know that they have this problem. So is my problem in that category that to tell them they need to educate,
100%.
Okay.
It is a big part of your marketing needs to be, for this persona, letting them know, hey, you just bought a house, you really need to get a trust in place.
Okay.
And so again, defining the stakes, right? Because obviously as we're getting from this conversation, sometimes the stakes are clear, right? Like, I don't want to go to jail, and other times they have no idea. And so if you're in that situation where your PNCs don't even really know, then step number one is educating them that, hey, yeah, you do really need to think about this or some very bad things can happen to you.
Mm-hmm. And I guess this is part of tomorrow, because the bad things that can happen are so bad, I just wonder, I suppose we don't want to lead with the lead. Maybe, if you die and you don't have an estate plan and your house goes through probate and it takes months and months and everyone thinks you're a loser because you didn't have it together, get your estate plan together. But that's the kind of thing we want to talk about at some point.
Yeah, and we'll finesse how to talk about that without seeming super insensitive.
Okay.
Right? But we will 100% want to talk about that. And again, that could maybe be video. There's a number of sort of different ways we can have that conversation. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're
Awesome.
definitely on the right track.
Thank you.
Cool. All right. Is everybody feeling good about their top 5 problems? Do we have at least 3? Anybody here, do this for me. Raise your hand if you've got at least 3 problems clearly defined, and you know who your persona is, you know what the surface level problem is. You've done that for at least 3 problems. Okay. Just about everybody, but not completely everybody. So here's what we're going to do. Everybody who raised your hand, you guys are in really good shape for tomorrow because we're going to start building on this foundation. So we're going to take those problems and we're going to talk about how to create lead magnets, how to create landing pages for the lead magnets. Here's basically what we're going to do tomorrow. We're going to talk about how to create the lead magnet. We're going to talk about the landing page for the lead magnet, the ads to get people to your lead magnet, and we're going to build out this follow-up sequence. So if you feel good, as long as you right now feel good about your top 3, you guys are in good shape, and we're basically done for tonight. Okay, awesome. So listen, before everybody gets up and leaves, I want to hear from a few people kind of biggest insight, biggest new piece of information, biggest breakthrough that you had today, whether it was from your phone conversations or from diagramming some of this. I just want to hear some breakthrough insights that happened today. And microphone, perfect. Lisa, you want to grab that? Or John, can you pass that to Lisa? And Lisa, go, and then we'll pass it up here.
So mine was probably not just hearing about, like, calling and hearing about them and their matter, but asking them these emotional questions and getting a real response, not necessarily pertaining to them and their matter, but to them and their life and as a person. So getting to connect with them more on that emotional.
So what was something you pulled out of that? What was an emotion you discovered that you didn't know existed? Or
So we joked around that she felt like she was getting a free therapy session, but she had to stop and think about what was the wording of it, because I read them right out. It was, let's see if I can find it real fast. Like personal, like what is your secret?
Like desire?
Desire. And
Yeah.
she was like, oh gosh, like secret. Like what haven't I told anybody? And she came up with, like, she really wants personal and emotional growth. And she was like, I guess I really haven't ever told anybody that. And so it was nice to kind of hear that. So
awesome.
And for her to open up about that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Good job. All right, up front row. We've got 2 right here.
The biggest thing I got this morning was...
Can you speak right into the mic?
The biggest thing I got this morning is that I didn't realize that I have to show them how I solve their problem in the lead magnet. I was talking about things, and I have a few lead magnets, but I didn't show them how to solve their problem. So the lead magnet supposed to show them how you solve their problem.
So I want to be careful about that because I like what you said. I just want to be clear that we're on the same page, and really we're going to get there tomorrow, so we don't need to spend too much time here. But solving their problem, I want to be sure we don't get into trying to solve like their legal problem and getting into giving them too much legal information. It's more the lead magnet should be addressing the problem. And so what's an example of a problem for your campaigns?
I'm going to tell you what my lead magnet looks like. Essential questions, whether you need or not an estate plan. And then it says the will, the trust, and if you have any questions, call us.
Got it.
Doesn't solve any problem,
Right.
doesn't explain anything.
And it doesn't speak to any level of emotion.
No.
100% right.
Yeah.
You're awesome. Very good.
Thanks.
Very good.
Hello, I'm Tessie again. I was really surprised. I guess it was more of a confirmation. A lot of my clients, when we called, I think we called between the two of us, we called probably 6 or 7 clients. How much they harped on specifically their 401k was a surprise to him. That all the men kept saying, my 401k, like damn the children, damn the house, it's my 401k. And the thing that I kept hearing from a lot of men was the confirmation, the thing that made me decide that I had to go after this is I just wanted to pay the bitch back. And that like anger was very, what were you angry about? I was angry because she did this and that and that. Like the men were so vocal about how angry they were, and more so than the women. Way more than the women. The men were angry, but it just seemed like they were angry because regardless of why we're getting divorced, like I'm good with that. But I have to give her half my shit. They were very angry about having to divide the finances, and they appeared to be convinced that it was not going to be fair.
I love it.
They were so concerned it's not going to be fair. She gets all the money, the kids, she's taking every damn thing, and so that was a big concern.
That is fantastic. Nice job. Awesome.
I don't want this.
One behind you.
One of the insights that came about in the speaking to the clients over lunch break was both clients that we spoke to told us that one thing that they liked about us was that we had such good communication with them and keeping them constantly informed of their case, the progress, summary after courts. And even though they both told us that they understand that the lawyers are busy and it was a team member that was reaching out to them, they still nonetheless felt good that they were being informed. So I think that gave us the idea of putting a piece together that will somehow predispose the lead and kind of, let them know, look, this is our process. And at the same time, I think kind of predisposing them that it's not the attorney specifically that they're going to be working with, but it's a team that they're going to be working with.
Yeah, good work. Good work. Everybody else want to go? Biggest insight, something that surprised you? All right, last one.
Hi, I'm Michelle Kelsaw, and I do estate planning. So I called, I think I got to 5 clients at lunch. And one of my biggest insights was I was talking to probably my best client I've ever had, retired banker. He had everything organized, his assets, the easiest to work with him ever. And when we were talking, I guess I kind of knew this, but the only reason he said he even got the plan done was because his adult daughter knows me, and she essentially made him. So it was like that whole, turning my mind of, okay, I do need to go after more of that sandwich generation. Because I've been avoiding those people with minor children. I like my older people. And if they come to me, that's fine, but I don't market to them at all. And so that really opened my eyes and thinking there's a lot of motivation there. I mean, this lady, I did her estate plan too, but she's in her mid-40s. She's got a kid in high school, one just going to college, and then her parents are, retired, live by them aging. So that really is something, that was my insight.
Yeah,
but I've
so
been
that's
ignoring that because I've been kind of afraid of those younger parents, I think, where I need to hit that.
So that's like a
sandwich.
whole new target market that you just opened up. Love it. Awesome. Listen, guys, you worked hard. You did great. Let's give it up for all the work you did today.